What is stress? Stress is mostly a physical response that is a mix of different hormones for your body. The hormones are adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine. These all prepare your body for action and task at which you are performing or stressed out about. All these hormones assist in remaining focused and alert. This is called the fight or flight response. The fight or flight response, also known as the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, is a psychological reaction that occurs in response to a perceived, harmful event, attack, or threat to survival. The response is recognized as the first stage of the general adaptation syndrome that regulates stress. There are many things that can cause you to stress. Things like being unhappy in your job, having a heavy workload or too much responsibility, working long hours, having poor management, unclear expectations of your work, or no say in the decision making process, working under dangerous conditions, and even having to give speeches. What are the symptoms of stress? Stress can lead to low energy, headaches, upset stomach, including diarrhea, constipation, and nausea, aches, pains, and tense muscles, chest pain and rapid heartbeats, insomnia, frequent cold and infections, and loss of sexual desire and or ability. Stress has serious effects on the human body. It can make your heartbeat and breath faster, it can make you sweat more, it can leave you with cold hands, feet, or skin, it can make you feel sick to your stomach and give you the butterflies. It's often known to tighten your muscles and make you feel tense. You can also feel muscle spasms, headaches, fatigue, and even shortness of breath. Stress has many effects on your mental health as well. Things like interfering with your judgment and causing you to make bad decisions, making you see difficult situations as threatening, reducing your enjoyment and making you feel bad, making it difficult to concentrate or to deal with distraction, are all things that are caused by stress. Despite what many people may believe, there is also such a thing as good stress, or otherwise known as EU stress, which means it's beneficial stress, either to the psychological, physical, or biochemical/radiological part of the body. Then there is the thing called the distress. In medicine, distress is an aversive state in which a person is unable to adapt completely to stressors and the resulting stress shows maladaptive behavior. It can be evident in the presence of various phenomena such as inappropriate social interaction, aggression, passivity, or withdrawal. Distress is the opposite of eustress. When the body is stressed, muscles in the body usually tense up. Muscle tension is almost a reflex reaction to stress. It's the body's way of guarding against injury and pain. With sudden onset stress, the muscles tense up all at once and then release their tension when the stress passes. However, this is a different case for chronic stress. Chronic stress causes the muscles in the body to be in a more or less constant state of guardedness. When muscles are taut and tense for long periods of time, this may trigger other reactions of the body and even promote stress-related disorders. For example, both tension-type headache and migraine headache are associated with chronic muscle tension. Stress can even affect the respiratory system. Stress can make you breathe harder. That's not a problem for most people. For those of us with asthma or lung disease such as emphysema, getting the oxygen you need to breathe easier can be difficult. And some studies show that an acute stress, such as the death of a loved one, can actually trigger asthma attacks. Stress also has a huge effect on the cardiovascular system. Chronic stress can affect the cardiovascular system by contributing to long-term problems of heart and blood vessels. The consistent and ongoing increase of heart rate and the elevated levels of stress hormones and of blood pressure can take a toll on the body. This long-term ongoing stress can increase the risk of hypertension, heart attack, and or stroke. Stress can also affect the endocrine system. Stress signals from the hypothalamus cause the adrenal cortex to produce cortisol and the adrenal medulla to produce epinephrine. This starts the process that gives your body the energy to run from danger. When cortisol and epinephrine are released, the liver produces more glucose, a blood sugar that would give you the energy for fight or flight in an emergency. For most of you, if you don't use all the extra energy, the body is able to reabsorb the blood sugar, even if you're stressed again and again. But for some people, especially people vulnerable to type 2 diabetes, that extra blood sugar can mean diabetes. Stress can also affect the gastrointestinal system. When you're stressed, you may eat much more or much less than you usually do. If you eat more or different foods or increase your use of alcohol or tobacco, you can experience heartburn or acid reflux. Stress or exhaustion can also increase the severity of heartburn pain. When you're stressed, your brain becomes more alert to sensations in your stomach. Your stomach can react with butterflies or even nausea or pain. You may vomit if the stress is severe enough, and if the stress becomes chronic, you may develop ulcers or severe stomach pain, even without ulcers. Stress can affect digestion and what nutrients your intestine absorb. You may find that you have either diarrhea or constipation often. And finally, the nervous system is also affected by stress. When the body is stressed, the SNS, which is known as the sympathetic nervous system, generates what is known as the fight or flight response. The body shifts all of its energy resources towards fighting off a life threat or fleeing from an enemy. The SNS signals the adrenal glands to release hormones called adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones cause the heart to beat faster, respiration rate to increase, blood vessels in the arm and legs to dilate, digestive process to change, and glucose levels in the bloodstream to increase to deal with the emergency at hand. Chronic stress, which is experiencing stress over a prolonged period of time, can result in a long-term drain of the body.
How do you lessen stress? Some steps to lessening stress are first off to eat better. A healthy body can cope with stress much better than one that's not. Staying away from caffeine and sugar can help your mood because after sugar crash, your mood is dramatically reduced. Avoiding the obvious like alcohol, drugs, cigarettes will help.
And finally, how to tolerate stress. A study was taken between people that knew that stress was not always a bad thing and people that always thought that stress was a bad thing, and found that the people that knew that stress wasn't always a bad thing, that they were healthy compared to people that always thought that stress was a bad thing, they happened to be much more ill.